So after Jimmy was born and Jenny was going back to work, we had to interview daycare providers, which was a totally new experience for us. But the lady that we picked was a lady named Angie, and she did in-home daycare for teachers' kids, and she was amazing. Like, you go pick up Jimmy and then Jimmy and Emma, and there'd be a list. Like, this is exactly what we ate. This is what we did at snack time. This is how long they napped. These are the diapers that I changed. This is what we're working on. These are projects and the learnings. And it was so cool to hear all about what she was doing with the kids every day. But I imagine that it would have been a totally different experience if we got there every day and said, well, how was it today? And she said, your kid's alive, isn't he? And then sent them on their way. Like, how was it today? Your kid's alive and still clothed. What more do you want? That's the basics. And at the end of the day, that is the basics. Like, when you pick your kid up from daycare, you want him to be alive and clothed and fed. But if we showed up and Angie told us, well, your kid is still alive and wearing clothes and fed, I can't imagine that we would have used her as a daycare provider for very long, right? But that's exactly the way we treat faith sometimes. I know it sounds absurd, but so often, like, if God came down and said, hey, how's your faith going? We'd say, well, I went to church. I said a prayer before I ate my food, and I said hi to that guy in the cubicle over. He's a jerk. I don't like that guy. You know, and then God comes back the next day, hey, how's your faith going? I gave $5 to a homeless guy. Leave me alone. Like, that's the basics, right? And at the end of the day, in some ways, those are the basic building blocks of faith, you know, like spending time in prayer and reading the Bible and participating in community and being generous. But God is after something so much more than that from us, and we know it. Like, most of us who've been doing faith for any amount of time know that God wants something more than that from us, and yet in our minds, in our hearts, and in practice, so often we reduce it. We reduce it to just this list of tasks that we complete, this list of boxes that we check so that we can be good enough and do the minimum necessary to get by. But just as it would be ridiculous for a daycare provider to tell you, well, your kid is still alive and clothed and fed, it's ridiculous for us to come to the God of the universe who gave his life to have a relationship with us, and who wants our hearts, not our performance, and say, well, I did the tasks, I did them. And yet humanity's been struggling with it for thousands of years. We're finishing up our study on Hosea this week, and in Hosea 6 there's this line where God looks at the nation of Israel and he says, you have totally missed it. You reduced it to this like stuff that you think can like earn my love or earn my favor or set your account right with me. But that's not what I'm after. He says, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Acknowledgement of God, not burnt offerings. And Jesus quotes that passage twice in two conversations that he has with the Pharisees. Once when he's eating dinner with a whole bunch of screwed up people that they wouldn't dare spend time with, and the next time when he heals a guy on the Sabbath. And both of those things are outside the scope of the law for the Pharisees. They're outside the boxes that they check in their self-righteousness and their own attempt to be right with God. Like, they'd never eat with sinners and they'd never do anything on the Sabbath. And Jesus says, hey, time out. If the way that you're doing faith, like the boxes that you check and the rituals that you perform and the way that this plays itself out in your life, if it makes you think and see people and live towards them in a way that God doesn't think, and God doesn't see people, and God doesn't live towards people, that should be a clue that you're doing it wrong. And he tells them in the one situation, like, I came for these people. God's heart is for the broken and the poor and the needy, and that's you too. You just don't realize it. But like, the reason I came to earth is for the broken. Like, these people are people that I love. And then in the next interaction, he says, like, this guy with a crippled hand, like, I came to set things right. And if the way that you're doing life and faith isn't about setting things right, you're doing it wrong. I desire mercy and not sacrifice. On Sunday, I talked about how those two mentalities lead to just a faith and a life that looks entirely different. Like, that a sacrifice mentality, the box checking mentality, is about loving me. And the mercy mentality is about loving Jesus. The one is about creating space where I can do self-righteousness, where I can do the right stuff and avoid the right bad stuff so that I can earn God's forgiveness, I can earn God's love, I can earn God's grace, and I can proudly set myself up over and against the people around me who aren't as good as I am. And this mercy mentality is about loving Jesus because he loved us first, and it's about recognizing how much love we've been given and then sharing it with others. And the sacrifice mentality is about doing tasks, and the mercy mentality is about living with a lifestyle. And tasks sometimes leave us in a spot where, like the Pharisees, like Israel in Jesus' day, the way that we're living it out doesn't look very much like Jesus. But this lifestyle is saying, how can I live like Jesus in the world? And the sacrifice lifestyle excludes. It creates divisions between us and other people. But the mercy lifestyle invites, because it sees a world that is just like us, just as broken, just as desperate for the love of Jesus. And it says, I gotta tell people, I gotta invite them in. Jesus says repeatedly to the Pharisees the same thing that God said in the book of Hosea to the entire nation of Israel. I want mercy, not sacrifice. I want acknowledgement of God, not burnt offerings. God's telling us, look, I know it's an easy habit to slip into for a whole lot of reasons, but I don't want vapid religiosity. I want relationship. I don't want lists that define your life. I want love. I'm after you. I want your heart, not your performance. I'm after you. I came to find you. I died to have you in my family. I want a relationship with you. And so my challenge to us this week was just to be overwhelmed by the love of God. I think in the moments when I really stop and I'm intentional about sitting back and realizing just what it means that the creator of the universe, who like holds the whole world in his hands, loves me enough to do for me what he did for me. Again, those moments when I'm just in awe of the love of God, and it's awesome, and it is overwhelming, and it's amazing. It changes everything about the way that I see myself when I look in the mirror, about the way that I see the people around me, and about the way that I see the tasks that I have to complete in a day, and it changes the way that I see the people around me. And so my challenge to us this week is to just let God's love wash over you. Realize who he says you are in him, and how deeply and passionately he says he loves you, and just be overwhelmed by it, because it'll change everything about who you are and the way that you live and move and breathe in the world. And when we live like that, when we live in God's love and we live out of response to God's love, it keeps us in this mercy mentality where we're loving and we're living like Jesus in the world, and we're inviting people in. And it helps guard against our natural tendency to just drift into that sacrifice mentality, where faith isn't about a relationship with God, it's about the things that we do to earn his blessings. And it's about our own self-righteousness. And God wants mercy, not sacrifice. He wants acknowledgement of him, not burnt offerings. He wants our love because he has so much love for us.